You know, for being a place with a lot of trees that I think look really cool, I got my ass kicked harder by a moth than I ever thought I would. That's pretty embarrassing, let's not dwell on it, plus we have a long way to go if we're ever going to get to the next level. In fact, here we are, the Village of Outcasts. I lied to you, that's something I don't mean to do, but I just did. Welcome to Lunk to the Past, I do that from time to time. So if you remember in the Light World, there was a guy in the basement of that building who told you about a band of thieves led by a man named Blind. Well, that's irrelevant to us now, because if you pull on that gargoyle's pitchfork, I don't know how the fuck you're supposed to figure that out, but you are supposed to figure that out. You'll find yourself welcomed to Thieves Town. This level's also called the Gargoyles Domain by some. I have a feeling that it was like back in the day, a guide probably put out one, and then another guide put out like the other name, and they were both been accepted, or maybe it's a difference in regions' manuals. I'm not really sure what went on, but they're both accepted names. I prefer Thieves Town because I like to think of it being like an underground town of thieves, which kind of fits the first portion of the level, because this level is very, very small, just like the Skullwoods. But the first part of this level is an underground maze, which is kind of neat, kind of like what I would expect from a Town of Thieves. Also, that thing that I refer to as Star Warps, I looked up its name in between episodes. Its actual name is a rabbit beam, which is kind of fucking sweet in my opinion. So yes, this level is one that sticks out in my head very, very, I have very fond memories of it, is what I'm trying to say, but failing miserably. So I have very fond memories of this level, but they do not stem from my first playthrough of this level. They actually stem through one of the playthroughs I had of the Game Boy Advance version, which would have been my third or fourth time playing this game. I used to get sick once a year. It was like I would catch bronchitis or something. I don't know if that's the actual name of the disease, but it was something like that. I would catch it like once a year, and I would be out of school for like a week. And I would just, you know, do sick kid stuff, play video games, whatever. So one year, I was playing this game while sick, and it's one of the more interesting memories I have, because I was sick to the point where I would pass out a lot, things would be hazy, I wouldn't understand what I was doing, and I spent fucking forever trying to beat this level, despite the fact that I'd already beaten it 2 or 3 times prior to that playthrough. So it was kind of weird to be doing a thing that you know how to do, but you're not really able to do it because you don't understand what you're doing. There were long periods of times where I wouldn't remember what I was doing, periods of time that I would pass out, and then I would wake up and I'd be like, oh man, what the fuck was I doing? I would have memories of things that didn't happen, memories of things that I thought happened because the game had like shut off. I'd like pass out and then my Game Boy would die because it was like the original Game Boy Advance one, so I didn't have the ability to like plug it in and just let it charge. So it was kind of an interesting playthrough, and it's weird to say that I have a fond memory of it, because a lot of it I don't even remember. I just remember the pain of going through this fucking level. I spent forever in this level because of that. And like I said, I had beaten it before, because it was my third or fourth playthrough, so it's just kind of weird. It's kind of a surreal experience, and it's nothing that I've ever experienced since, or that I can remember experiencing prior, because I've been sick. I'd catch that disease once a year, and it hadn't been that bad before. That was probably the worst case of it. And also, to make it worse, like the only fucking thing on TV was the Flintstone Kids, which is a garbage show. Sorry if you're a Flintstone Kids fan, but that show fucking sucks. Speaking of fucking sucks, there's nothing in this room. What the hell? Come on, game designers. Why wouldn't you put anything in a room? Because rooms are supposed to have things, and that did not have a thing in it. What a weird. I'm just gonna leave, because, come on, we have the key. We don't need to dwell on that. So we've actually already finished a majority of this dungeon. Well, majority. We finished a large part of it. That maze bit actually comprises most of the... I keep saying most, but it's a large part of the dungeon, and that, can I push these blocks? Doesn't appear so. It's a large part of the dungeon because those rooms are fucking huge. It's just 4 huge rooms. So it's kind of funny. This dungeon doesn't have a lot going on for it, but it's ironically like just one of the levels that I think of when I play this game, just because of, or when I think of this game. You know what I mean. It's kind of weird. Also, this level is one of the like best levels for, like, anti-fairies, because there's, not only is it a small level, but they're kind of very generous with the anti-fairies, which I know it's weird to think, like, oh, hey, they're being generous with placing this arbitrary enemy around, but since it turns into a fairy, it's always nice to see anti-fairies floating about. Also, it's kind of weird that the anti-fairy just managed to land itself behind that pot. Oh, also, speaking of fairies, there's a very convenient fairy location right outside of Skull Woods, and right above the Village Outcast. I'll show you guys after the level, so I don't have to confuse you guys with a confusing description of, you know, a place. Also, I'm going to go ahead and hit that switch, because I have a feeling that we want to hit it. And by have a feeling, I mean the room below us wanted us to hit it, if we want to continue that way. So we might as well hit it since we're coming this direction. And I think something bad happens to you if you pull that lever. Yes, something totally bad's going to happen to you if you pull that lever, seeing as you were able to push the button no problem. And I don't really care what the telepathic tile has to say, because, you know, we don't need to worry about it. And yeah, it just drops ropes on you. Whatever. Does not matter. And we're going to be able to blow up one of these, oh, and there's the one we can blow up. I was gonna be like, you can blow up one of these, cracked tiles. I wonder which one it is, but of course it's the one that has the light spewing into it. So, this will, the light will continue downwards, through that cracked wall, the cracked floor, into that useless room that I pointed out earlier. You know, useless air quotations. And I'm gonna go ahead and just be careful and bomb all of these, and that should be enough to hit both. Yeah, I was gonna be careful and just bomb them just to be, you know, better safe than sorry. Well, better safe than sorry, unless you've done something bad to somebody. Then it's better to be safe and sorry, because you're being safe and sorry by apologizing, even because it's like you've done something, but you're not really sure, so you might as well go apologize, so be safe and sorry. And we already have a fairy and we're full health, so we might as well not worry about you. Oh, something weird that can happen. You probably noticed it with the fairy in the other room, where the fairy was kind of see-through. In rooms with these blobby guys, who are new enemies, who you can only hurt them if you hit the bright red part of them. The kind of see-through part is their exterior, like, blobby shell. It's not really a shell, but you know what I mean. You can't hurt them whenever you hit that, but you can hurt them by hitting the inner thing. But since it has a see-through effect, I think fairies and items are on the similar layer, if you would. I've always thought about how this game does its stuff in layers, and from what I understand of the game, it seems to make me think that the game does it in layers, because that's a thing that you would do with a game. It's a very easy way to do. I'm getting off point. But the fairies and items are on a similar layer as those blobby guys, because whenever a item or a fairy appears in a room that one of those blobby guys is in, the fairy or item itself will become see-through, and it's kind of weird. Kind of a neat thing, though. So you're going to walk into this room, you're going to see this big block, and you're like, oh no, there's nothing I can do with it, that's too heavy for my power glove. Nope, your fucking power glove is the bee's knees, and you can lift it up, and there are no problems had by anybody ever. Which I always thought was weird, that you're able to lift up that block with the power glove, which I guess spoils what this dungeon item is, but I don't know, I just felt it weird to point out that you can pick that up with your power glove, and you don't need a new thing at all. This room can be a bit weird to deal with. If you just stand perfectly still for the most part, and don't worry about running around, you can just take out the baris with your hookshot. Oh, also, these guys are called baris, and it's kind of adorable, but when you kill these guys, the little ones are called beeries. I don't know why, but I just think that's a nice little detail. They're actually they're the blue bari and the red bari. But we will be sticking with jellyfish, because I will forget that they're called baris in the near future. In fact, I'll probably forget at some point in this recording. Not that we're going to be seeing a lot of them, because we're near the end of the dungeon. Also, these locks are kind of assholes. If you remember from earlier in the game, you were able to open up Princess Zelda's cage with the big key. You don't need a small key to get through those doors, which always confuses me, and we value the key more than we value the maiden, so, you know, whatever. But she wants us to take her outside, so, you know, we've saved her, we hadn't had to fight a boss, we haven't gotten a dungeon item, which is horse shit, so we're gonna go ahead and collect the dungeon item before we leave, because why would you just save the maiden and not take a dungeon item as a little souvenir, plus you kind of need it to beat the game. So, here's the Titan's Mitt that I totally spoiled that we were going to be collecting. I didn't spoil the name, though. So hooray for winning by default? I don't know. So with the Titan Mitt, you can now pick up the, dark green blocks. Dark green, I don't know what color it is. It's a dark bluish green rocks that you weren't previously able to pick up, so a bit more of the overworld exploration is opened up to us, so that's kind of neat. So if you remember, we brought sunlight into that useless room. So before we take her outside, we might as well just let her see the sunlight. She probably hasn't seen it in a while, so we'll let her, you know, adjust to the sunlight. She'll turn into a boss, and we'll fight her. So yes, this is Blind the Thief. He was pretending to be a maiden to try and trick you into leaving the level. If you leave the level, you have to go collect him again, and it's a pain in the ass. So Blind isn't that bad of a boss, especially if you're good at bullet hells. Because, I mean, this is nothing near a bullet hell, but if you're good at bullet hells, you'll just laugh at this boss. But I have bad memories of this boss because of that faithful playthrough I mentioned earlier. Beating this guy whenever you have no clue what's going on is kinda hard. So he'll just try and shoot lasers at where you're standing. As long as you keep moving, he can't hit you with that laser move. But once you start doing significant amounts of damage to him, he will lose his head, literally. And he'll drop a head, and the head will start spitting fireballs. As long as you move with the fireballs that the head spits, you can safely position yourself to beat the shit out of Blind, and thank God we have another fairy. Fighting Blind, there's a optional item that you can get once you get the Titan's Mitt that will make him easier. I'll be showing it off right after we beat him. Also, this is a good fight to take advantage of invincibility frames, and your red shield if you have the red shield. Also, using your spin attack might not be the best idea. I always like doing the spin attack just because I feel it's more effective, and that was our last fairy, wasn't it? One more fairy, right? Please say... Oh, cool. This is our last fairy, so I should not blow it. Blind's one of those bosses that if you just brute force it and just tank the hits, you can beat him no problem. But that's kind of like not the pro way to play. In fact, speaking of pro ways to play, I just died, so that totally sucks. Ah, man. I'm just getting worse and worse at this game. So I will see you guys... Actually, I will see you guys back at Blind, but before I cut, I want to show you a sweet fairy location for Skull Woods and Thieves Town that I should have visited last episode, but I totally forgot it existed till I walked by it at the beginning of this episode. So if you come over here, this block has 2 fairies in it, and you can keep farming these fairies. So just like walk off the screen, walk into the fortune teller's house, and you can keep collecting these fairies, and that fairy's a lost cause, I don't care. So I'm gonna stock up on fairies, and I'll meet you guys back at Blind. I'm sorry for my my shoddy performance. So Blind's one of those bosses, if you just sit and think about what you're doing and don't panic, he's not that bad of a boss. He's also pretty easy if you abuse the invincibility frames of the hook shot. He's also pretty easy if you go and get the optional items, or if you've ever played a bullet hell, he's a fucking joke, but I've never played a bullet hell. Well, I take it back. My biggest exposure to bullet hell games is the mini game from No More Heroes, which I've never been a Toho person. Toho. I know it's pronounced Toho. I like saying Toho. So there you go. Blind's not that bad of a boss, especially if you just tank the hits and play like a little baby like I did. I feel so bad, because like the point of a 3-heart run's kind of to do it skillfully and not be a baby about it, but I am being a huge baby. But I guess I'll have to deal with that for the moment. But we've saved the real maiden. Yeah, I know, Blind was pretending to be a lady to try and trick us. What an excellent plan, but we didn't follow your script. I wrote my own script. I'm following a script right now. No, I'm not following a script right now. Following a script right now would be pretty stupid. So she's gonna tell us more that we're the last of the like Hyrulean like knights, or knights of Hylia, I forget what they call them. But then she's like, hey, it's ironic that the last of your bloodline is going to be the savior of us, which I don't really understand that. It's like, that's not really irony as it is coincidence, because it's like, the last knight of Hylia is your savior. How ironic. No, that's coincidence. It would be like if we were the last of like a band of the band of thieves that like Ganondorf ran. That would be ironic. Either that or I'm stupid, because I'm not, like, super good at the English language. Although, if I could magically get better at any one thing, and for whatever reason I couldn't pick programming, because programming is what I like to do. Oh, also, we got a heart piece from this game. Forgot to mention. I think it has a static location. I'm not sure if it depends on what, if it resets on what game you play, because I normally get it from that chest right there. I don't know if that's just me, or if it's based on the cartridge or something. I don't know. Oh, but if I could not get magically better at programming for whatever reason, because that's what I like to do, and what I'm going to school for, I would totally choose having a better vocabulary and or being better at wordplay. Just because I've always thought people who are really good at wordplay are like really clever. Not like, ho ho ho, that's excellent, but I mean like really good wordplay. And I can't think of any good examples because I am unfortunately not good at wordplay. So that is one thing I would wish I was good at. That is your me fact for the day. Another me fact for the day. When I come across a big field of things I can hammer down, my OCD tells me that I should do it. And it's a good thing it did, because it makes this entrance up here for us. And what's down here, you ask? It's a heart piece, because, come on, what the hell else would be down here? It's a heart piece. So, I'm starting to feel pretty bad about it, because now I'm thinking about it. And we haven't seen the light world equivalent of this area. So we might as well just pop into the light world and check it out, because it's actually a pretty important area. And I can't believe I've gone this long without pointing it out, because this is just to the right of Kakariko Village. But if you come in here, there is a blacksmith, and if you talk to him, he'll mention that his partner has disappeared. But if you bring him back, he'll temper our sword for us. So we're going to want to be on the lookout for Mr. Partner guy. If come on, getting our sword tempered. I mean, we'll humor them. I mean, it's not like our Master Sword, which if I had to qualify it would be a level 2 sword, could somehow grow to a level 3 sword. That would be relonkulous even. If you throw magic powder on this weird little thing, a demon will come out and he'll be like, oh, you want me for my sleep? I'm gonna get revenge. Whatever, man. Do your stuff. I understand. Woke you up. Gotta get cursed. So he curses us by dropping our magic power by 1/2. So what that actually does is it basically doubles your magic. I think what in-game it does is cuts the magic cost for using like the fire rod or like any magical item, but it basically doubles your magic if that's easier to think about it that way. So yeah, that's a kind of a nice thing that we could have done since we got the magic hammer. I can't believe I haven't come over here to do it. Because all you need is the magic hammer to do it. You don't even need the Titan's Mitt. You just need the Titan's Mitt to get to the Dark World equivalent of that area. Well, that's not the only thing you use the Titan Mitt for. We're going to be using it to get some pretty sweet optional items. And oh, hey, look, a Froggy, who just happens to be the guy's partner. I know, he didn't get very far from home, but is in a different universe. Kind of weird. So he turns into a little frog in this universe, although he has the same clothes, which is kind of a nice touch. I always like that. So let's go ahead and warp into the light world. Oh, I probably shouldn't have warped over here, but that's fine. That'll just be slightly inconvenient for me, because I'm gonna have to come back over this area in the Dark World, but it's fine. You can warp into the light world with him, and he'll follow you, which makes you think, like, hey, you can save any of the people who've been trapped into the Dark World, but you just choose not to for whatever reason. Lunk is a dick. That rebellious face, he's just like, oh man, I gotta get my sword tempered. Not worth it to save anyone unless I'm gonna temper my sword. So once you save him, he will temper your sword for 10 rupees, which is totally worth doing, because we want to no, you'll get a level 3 sword, so you'll be doing more damage, and also it's the sword I always think of when I play this game. Oh, also we don't have a sword right now, so Link just, like, high fives. He's like, yeah, woo. So yeah, this is part of... I've never done a swordless Link glitch, but I believe that this is a big part with, like, how you keep the swordless Link glitch alive after you get the Master Sword. I don't know a whole lot about it. I've never done a swordless Link thing, like I just said, but I think swordless Link playthroughs are pretty neat. So yes, we've just found a chest with the key locked inside. So whatever are we to do? We don't have a sword. We can't bust our way into that chest. Also, if you jump off a cliff or try to use the Pegasus boots, you'll leave the chest behind and you'll have to go back for it. Oh, I almost jumped off the cliff. So we know about a thief. There's thieves in the light world who, I believe we talked to one earlier in the game, who mentioned a weird guy who hangs out by the desert who used to be a thief but is now trying to play it off like it wasn't anything, you know, just trying to leave the thievery life behind. And we just so happened to meet that guy. And I really hope we talked to one of those thieves, because I have a distinct memory of doing it, but that might have been a different playthrough entirely. That's one of the problems of playing a game you're so familiar with, you just don't remember stuff you've done. Also, since we do not... Oh, actually, we don't need to be here in the Dark World version, because he's in the Light World version. Because, you know, guy didn't figure out how to get in the Light World. Let's see if we can get by all these crows without getting attacked. But once you bring him the chest, he'll be like, you know I was a thief, and he will open the chest for us if we promise not to tell anybody. And aside from the key, because they mentioned that the key for the chest is inside the chest, so was a bottle. So, hooray, we got our 4th and final bottle, so now we can carry all of the fairies in the world. It feels so nice. We'll just be like a fairytopia. So now we need to run back to the other side of Kakariko Village, and, oh, you're a tricky guy. So I will meet you on the other side of the Village of Outcasts. I accidentally said Kakariko Village. Did I accidentally say on the other side of Kakariko Village and then quickly change it to be on the other side of the Village of Outcasts? Because what I really meant was, I'll see you whenever we're picking up our new, stronger sword. So this is the sword I always think of whenever I play this game, the Tempered Sword. Just the color, that orange color the sword is, I don't know why, but that's the sword I think of whenever I think of, Link to the Past. I don't know. Kind of a weird thing, but I will deal, and oh cool, my phone was ringing, but I've put it onto silent. Good job, me. Oh, also, if you're low on money, you still need money for the Wishing Well Fairy, or for anything else you need to buy. You're low on money for the shovel game, low on money for the chest game. There are a few 300 rupee chests in Village Outcast, so you can like go around and check them out. We don't really need them, so I'm not gonna bother too much with going around, even though it's not that inconvenient going to grab them. It's just inconvenient enough that I don't feel like doing it. So I'm going to show you guys something not all that important, but I think it's pretty cool because I didn't know about this until maybe like I'm trying to think when that playthrough was. I think it was 2 years ago now. I can't tell. But I only recently learned it was the thing. So this house right here in the Dark World, in the Light World, this is just a little shortcut to get to Hyrule Castle. I didn't know how to enter this house. Well, you can just hop these pegs. I didn't know you could do that. What's in the house isn't really all that important. It's just a shop who just sells, oh, have arrows, have a bee, have a shield. So nothing like all that important. But I just think it's cool because I didn't know how to get into that for the longest time, and I actually thought it was just there as like a joke, like, hey, look, here's this thing you can't explore. But no, yeah, you can totally get in there if you know that you can hop those pegs, which I don't know how you're supposed to figure that out, but I eventually did, so whatever, dog. Enough of that. We have optional items to collect. So we want to head over here into the Light World. Because, if you remember, when we came here for the graveyard, I came back here to show you guys, like, that we could get into the sewers. There has been this lone, gravestone that we could not get into. Well, once you get the Titan's Mitt, you can get in here and you can run into it with the Pegasus shoes, and you can get inside. Which is, kind of a weird thing that you have to run into it with the Pegasus shoes, but whatever, because it's totally worth it, because you get the magic cape. So the magic cape drains magic, as the name would imply, as you use it, but it turns you invisible. And you're not only invisible, you're invincible, which is really sweet. So if you're having a real hard time with blind, come and get this item first. It will make your life so easy, because you can just, like, hide from all of his shots. He's just, like, no problem at all. And if you notice, this cliff had a cave on it in the Light World, and we can just kind of waltz into it, from the Dark World into the Light World. We can come in here, we can bomb this wall, and I will give you 300 seconds to guess what's in this cave, because, you know, we'll have it in under 300 seconds. And if you said a heart piece, you were correct. If you answered nothing, you were wrong. I'm also wrong for giving you too much time to guess, because I wasn't going to wait 300 seconds. You could have paused the video and waited 300 seconds, but, you know, whatever. And let's get a move on. Oh. So this is something that rarely happens, but you can warp from Dark World to Light World, and there'll be something that's in the Light World that's in the Dark World, and you warp on top of it, and it sends you back. But you rarely have it so where your warp that you made in the Dark World doesn't send you back from the Light World into the Dark World. That very rarely happens. If you remember, this is where the Sanctuary is. In the Light World, but if you just come in here, there's just a guy who'll tell you something. He's a little octopus guy too. How adorable. He doesn't really have any good information for us that we don't already know, so fuck him. Seriously. We have places to be. We gotta go do things. We can't even worry about the fact that he exists. I mean, seriously. So if you remember, over here is where the Lumberjack's house is in the Light World. Well, there's something more. It's the Lumberjack's house and also the path that you would take to the Death Mountain. I'll give this piece of heart to the person who wears the cape. So if you have the magic cape, you'll be able to get the piece of heart up on top of that cliff thingy. There might be ways to glitch this out without having the magic cape, but if you have the magic cape, you can do it how the game intends, which is always the best way to do things. You're totally not ground pounding and then falling forever without taking damage. I mean, am I right? That'd be so lame for somebody to totally abuse that glitch all the time in their Let's Play. Me? Fuck you. I was saying fuck you to me, not you guys. I hate me. You guys can hate me too. I don't mind. But I do appreciate you guys for like sticking around. Like seriously, I do appreciate you guys for watching these videos. I don't know how anybody like just bears with me. Because I'm pretty obnoxious. I appreciate everybody so much for like watching these videos, even if like you don't watch these, like I know it's like, hey, if you don't watch these videos, I still appreciate you. Like, you're never gonna hear it, but really, I understand like Let's Plays aren't for everybody, and with how fucking long these videos are, especially, yeah, they're totally not just, they're not all that accessible to watch, which I always feel bad about putting out a really long episode, because I'm like, oh man, this is gonna suck, it's gonna go on forever, and it's gonna get really boring, I'm gonna get on people's nerves. But how I like to group things, I don't think of Let's Plays in terms of like, oh, how much time passes is what determines when I end the episode. It's whenever I get stuff done to a point where it's like, okay, this content stands out as being good enough for being an episode. And I know I probably butchered that explanation, but I think more of content completed as opposed to time elapsed in terms of what should make an episode end. That's enough about that. Magic cape. So we were able to get a piece of heart with it. Let's instead get an... Oh, I suppose I should get out the hammer first so I can peg down this thing. Let's use the magic cape to get a cool optional item. So the magic cape makes you invincible, so you can pass over this pain train. Well, it's more of a pain hallway. So this would totally kill the shit out of you. Unless you have a bunch of hearts and you can just tank the hit, which is an optional way to do this. That's not the recommended way. Unfortunately, though, when you get to the end of this thing, they do not give you magic. They give you hearts. So they expect you to tank the hits on the way back unless you bring in the potion of magic. So the Brina, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. I always say Brina, even though that's totally not the pronunciation. Works like the magic cape in that it makes you invincible, but it gives you like a little like surrounding force field thing. Think like the kind of like the leaf shield in Mega Man. Kind of like that. I don't know if that's a good explanation at all. And this actually isn't too bad of a place to be. Yeah, sorry for that totally lame game over right there, but I had no way of avoiding that death. But we're almost at the end of this episode. I just want to do one more thing. I need to find a place that we can actually warp into the light world, and I am dead again. Wow, that's kind of totally lame. 2 game overs right next to each other. 3 game overs in a video. After we were doing so good about not getting game overs. Welcome to the dark world. I guess that's what happens. And despite the fact that I should have just learned my lesson, I'm going to blindly charge this way anyways. And now we can totally warp into the light world right here. I'm going to be pissed if there's something right here in the light world. Cool, nothing. So now we can get a move on to the next dungeon. So the reason that we didn't just like end off after doing the dungeon, aside from the fact the dungeon is really, really short, is that we can now get into, well, we can now get into the next dungeon now that we have the Titan's Mitt. But, oh shit, we can't, oh, well, it's only gonna, I forgot that we have 3 hearts. We can get to the next dungeon now that we have the Titan's Mitt. And the next dungeon is pretty long, so it might kick my ass just a little bit. And, oh, there's no way that I can do what I was just thinking about. Fuck. Because there's a piece of heart over here on this thing. So I'm going to actually go back into the dark world and grab it because I really want that piece of heart. I don't want to forget about it. So I'll see you guys in just one moment. I have to apologize a lot for how disjointed this episode got after we beat the dungeon, but there's a lot of things I wanted to do because this next dungeon is going to be pretty long, so we're not really going to have time to do things after this dungeon. And with this dungeon being as short as it was, I thought it'd be an excellent chance to get rid of some of these side quests. And why is my beam not going? I guess it doesn't matter. I don't need to kill the buzz blob. It's not in our way. I just wanted the piece of heart. Which you can totally get by warping over to the light world. So this is the next level, the Ice Palace. There's no way to get into it from the dark world though, because it's surrounded by walls at all sides. There's a bunch of bomber guys flying around who make your life hell. But once you get the Titan's Mitt, you can get in easily, because if you remember, this is where the Wishing Well is. Once you get the Titan's Mitt, you can warp in. There's a warp right here just for this level. So tricky game. So next level, or next episode, we're going to be tackling the next level, which is the Ice Palace. So I'll see you guys then, and oh my god, that guy's totally going to eat me as soon as the thing wears up. That's a shame. See you guys next time.